Hello, you're listening to No Kids, No Pain. I'm Romina Puma.
And I'm Luca Cupani, and this podcast is about the choice of being child-free.
Each week we will explore the topic of choosing not to have kids.
And we would love to hear from you too.
If you decide to be child-free,
Don't feel guilty, this is the podcast for you.
and if you have kids,
Here's what you're missing out.
welcome back. Hello, Luca.
Hello, Romina.
How are you?
I'm good, and how
Good.
about you?
I'm good. So today episode, we just want to confirm that we are still happy to be child-free.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
It seems like a silly thing to say, but when you choose to be child-free, sometimes you have to...
Remind yourself.
Yes.
Or kind of refresh, like as you were saying, it's like we are some sort of an app and we need an update every now and then.
like when your computer asks you, can you confirm this is the settings you want? Yes, I want.
Yes.
Because for women, because there's the biological clock. I
Yeah,
believe they're
tick
called.
tock, tick tock.
So what you need to know, but also you need to be aware that the closer you get to the age where naturally you won't be a mother anymore, people will feel very much entitled to remind you that time is ticking and how about you? Come on, make a choice.
Hurry up.
Hurry up.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
But 100% sure.
Don't complain afterwards.
Yeah.
And even as a man, especially if you're in a relationship, you need to remind yourself that to see, still am I still happy? Do I want to be a father?
Yeah.
Nope, I don't want.
No?
I'm very much happy to be the way I am. And a good thing sounds maybe a bit silly, but sometimes you read stories on the news that help you in making you feel okay.
Yeah, to remind you that you are still happy with that decision.
Yes, that's
yeah.
one of the, because you think, oh, thank God I'm still happy and child free.
Because we came across this story that was in the news about this guy
Yeah.
that basically he robbed a bank to pay for the IVF treatment.
Yes, but let's try to, because so the whole story is a British man. That's important.
yeah.
Then moved to the US. Apparently, very good education, a good job. So not a
He went there because his father had a business there, so he was working for his father.
So he was living in California, and imagine California, beautiful.
Nice and hot and sunny. Everyone is beautiful there, apparently, never been.
Yeah, and a beautiful wife, blonde.
Yeah.
Like California. Not that, okay, even if you're not blonde, doesn't. Yeah, you can have every kind of hair you want, or no hair at all. That was a beautiful, typical idea of a bit of a stereotype of a California woman.
Yeah. She had already 3 kids with the previous marriage.
Yeah, 3 or 2. Yeah, 3.
But then
Two or three, yeah.
2 or 3. And then she had an operation that they had to remove some tubes.
So she
basically.
couldn't have kids anymore naturally.
Yeah. But what happened that she got divorced and then she met this guy. And she never thought that she was going to have more kids. But then, she got remarried and they both wanted kids. And there where the problem came. Because she couldn't have kids because of those tubes removed.
And he wanted his own kids, as I understand.
Yeah.
Because again, adoption is a perfectly valid option.
Yeah,
I mean, if you...
absolutely.
Because-
but some people, they just,
Cause,
they don't take it in
fatherhood and
consideration.
motherhood is not just about the DNA. It's about the experience of growing the kids, which we don't want to do. So we're happy not being.
And so what happened is that doctor said that with one treatment, it should have been fine. But turns out it took 9 treatments.
Can we also point out, okay, it's hard to be a woman in this world, because with IVF, all the man has to do is to enjoy himself briefly and collect semen. The woman has to go to
We get bombarded with
drugs and
hormones
and
all
so,
that stuff. Yeah. So what happened? After 9 treatments, she finally
Good news, they got a
gets
baby, a
pregnant.
daughter, all good.
Spoiler alert. But they ran out of all the money they had, and basically he was so desperate that he ended up robbing a bank.
Yeah, well, I still think that probably he could have maybe taken some decision like selling the house or downsizing his lifestyle. It might be that also living in California could be very putting a lot of
Expensive.
pressure, because if you want to have the perfect idea of American dream and life and family, so
Yeah.
you want your own kid, you want a beautiful wife in a beautiful villa and or
Yeah.
house with a swimming pool. I don't know, maybe they never had a swimming pool. I don't know much about details. I'm making up in my mind. But so he wanted to get some money, and he found an easy way, apparently easy, by robbing banks.
Because he was working in a bank, so he knew all the tricks, how to get away with it. He didn't get away because they caught him, but he knew
Wow,
how to enter.
Was he working over? He knew that somehow the cashier cannot refuse a limited sum of amount of money. I don't know, whatever.
But yeah,
He-
but the funny thing is, he robbed the bank when his daughter was already like about 4 years old. And he forgot they had to pick her up from school, from nursery. And his wife said, remember that you
Yeah.
need to pick her up. So, today, all right. So when he arrived at the bank, the daughter was asleep. So basically, he left the daughter in the car asleep, went in, robbed the bank, came out, dropped off the daughter with his wife, and went back to work like nothing happened.
However, I like that this podcast is this episode is a cross between crossover between true crime, a crossover between true crime and not having kids, and talking about people that had kids. However, apparently it turns out if you rob several banks in the same area where you live, chances are at some point someone might recognize you and tip off the FBI or whatever they did. And so he was caught. He pleaded guilty, went to jail, he served the sentence, but then he had to be extradited, deported back to the UK, because in the US they don't like you, apparently, if you commit a crime, if you're a guest and you commit a crime.
So basically, he spent all this money. He ended up in jail. He had a daughter, but he couldn't enjoy the daughter anyway.
Yeah, because
That's the point.
now I think he has released the podcast or maybe he's writing a book. He was a guest on British television. That's how we come across his story, because he's fighting for his right to re-enter the United States so that he can be reunited with his family. And again, I never understood, because apparently I think the family, if they want, they can move to the UK. It might be that California is slightly more appealing than the UK, especially in this time of the year, in this part of the decade. But so this person has went way extra mile in breaking the law to get a daughter that could
he's not enjoying.
He's
not enjoying her. So I mean, as a child-free person, what can we possibly do to compare so extreme? I mean, I would rob a bank to go on a massive holiday, maybe.
Provided the holiday is child-free, there's only adults only. Yeah, no, we wouldn't. So we wouldn't rob a bank. We are very law-abiding citizens, and we will never do something like this.
No.
But it is weird, because in some of the articles we read about this story, it seems that nobody challenges the motive. Like, we're not talking about someone who's, I was hungry, I was desperate, sleeping on a bench in a park, and I was so desperate I
robbed the bank.
I broke the law because I need to get food. This was a person that has a debt. Maybe could have found a better way to repay the debt, but all this because he really, really, really wanted so badly to be a father.
Yeah, I mean, I think that comes down to common sense. If the doctor told you that should be done and dusted with one treatment, so try maybe 2, max 3 times. But then, it's a bit like when you go to a casino, right? You go in. I used to go every now and then with my friends, and I always went, okay, I got 50 euros in my pocket that I can throw away, right? Okay, that's my budget. Once I run out, that's it, I stop. But in that case, it's kind of the same thing.
So it could be, although we have to admit that they say my body, my choice. So if you want to undergo treatment, as long as because you really want if you have your motive, as long as it's not too dangerous for your health, if the doctors advise that you can do it, well, I mean, yes, feel free to do. My only question is, do you think that if we lived in a society now, I think the society is changing, hopefully. And I've read that since 2014 on Wikipedia they say the idea of being child-free voluntarily is becoming more, not mainstream, but more accepted. Do you think that if we lived in a society that is more...
it was more accepted?
Yeah, where there's more acceptance of the choice of being an adult, grown up, in a stable relationship, married, and still happy not to have kids, without feeling like a defective family, like, oh yeah, you are almost there. Because the feeling that you have sometimes is that you are like doing a path and there's the last step you're not taking. Yeah, come on, you're so close, you got married. Come on, next step is the baby. No, it's not the necessary. You can be perfectly happy and formed and completed just with the person that you love.
Just accept.
You don't need to. So I believe that if we move towards a society where there's more acceptance for an adult couple in a stable relationship that don't have kids, chances are we might see less of these desperate attempts, people even, robbing banks and ending up in a counterproductive effect, because now he has a daughter but he lives on the other side of the ocean. So yes, he could adopt by distance as some sort of he could have just a chat with someone on Zoom every day. It probably is the same kind of
I don't know. I can't get my head around that. I mean, it's how crazy can you be to go to that extreme, to rob a bank and then end up in jail and all that? It's just that I just can't get my head around it, because in my opinion, it's just common sense. I have this amount of money, okay, I want this desperately, but it can be as desperate as you want, but you need to have that common sense to stop at some point, but not too late to end up robbing a bank.
Yeah, but I think desperation usually doesn't go hand to hand with common sense.
Yeah.
But the idea is, I believe there's a mix of things. Also, the idea that.
But even doctors that give you this IVF, can't they give them a little bit of advice? I don't know. Make sure. Do you have the money for this, or you're gonna end up robbing a bank? They're
gonna get the money, but I believe that the thing is, they make you feel as if you're not completed as a human being if you don't have a legacy that is a biological
or
kid.
Maybe make it kind of as a law that you can't do more than a certain number of treatment, otherwise it goes, unless, you are, I don't know, Onassis, and you got shitloads of money.
Yeah, but
then but if you are a normal person, I don't know, really, I would never do that.
No, of course, like we are also law-abiding citizens, as I said. So if the FBI is listening to our podcast, we are not robbing any bank. We don't plan to rob any bank. But maybe it could be a good topic for the next episode. We need to talk more about maybe the idea that even if you don't have a kid, you're not less completed because of that. Think about the Pope. He has no kids and he seems very happy.
Oh yeah, super happy. He's telling other people to have kids.
Yeah. Does the Dalai Lama have kids? Well, don't go there.
No, I don't. No, Dalai Lama, he likes to kiss.
Ah, okay.
Did you see that?
Yes, I've seen it. It's sad. It's terrible.
Kissy.
Oh, no. Yeah, okay. So, what do you think? Have you ever robbed a bank to pay their debt for IVF? Or are you happy? Do you sometimes find solace if you don't have kids when you read stories like that? Or maybe you want to have kids and we didn't convince you at all? Let us know by emailing nokidsnopain@gmail.com.
Or on all social media, No Kids No Pain, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, all that.
Yes.
And that's all for us.
See you next time.
Bye.
Ciao. Ciao.